Hi guys, Wakka here. So tutorial 4, I'm going to go into briefly zones for zombie maps. This is zombie specific. When you create your default template, as you know we created one in the earlier tutorials, it will create you a basic zone file. So there will be a zone area and it will always be on. If you step outside of that zone you will die. And any dogs or zombies that you want to spawn actually are set to go towards a certain zone. But as your map develops and becomes larger, you might want to have doors that open and other areas, and it's important that you plan it out correctly. So I've highlighted on the left here the default sort of settings that you see in the basic template map. So here it's set to always on. There's no amazing configuration of the zones, and it's just been called to initialize up here. Now I'm using Chaos's tutorial map, which I will put a link on when the tools are out, but I will put a link in the description to his channel so you can catch his videos as well. And thank you to him to let me use this one. It saved me creating one from scratch. So again, as we have it here and we have up here, we're initializing the zone. We're telling the system which is the first zone. So it's the first zone is start zone. It could be anything that you want to call it, but for ease we're going to go with this. Down here what we have is a series of zones set up. So to start with, I would start very simple. You'd start with one zone, and then you can have an adjacent zone. You have an adjacent zone here, so you got zones. So you start zone, you go to zone 2, you're entering zone 2, and I'll show you that inside the map. So if I open up his tutorial map, I will show you what I mean. The way to think about it, if you look at the giant template, which you'll have access to once the tools are released, they have loads of zones, but each door you open, whether you buy it or it's turned on by electricity and they open, they do initialize the zones, and that will then dictate how zombies will spawn. If you had a massive zone and it was in the closed off areas, you might get zombies stuck spawning in those areas. Eventually they would die and respawn, but we don't want that. So in here, if I go up a bit, there is a zone, and it's basically an info volume, and its target name is start zone, and it's a player volume. If we pan off, and I'm going to press F9 so I can see what I'm doing. So if I hedge over to here, I'm going to go to this door. There is a triggered door here. If we select it, here's this script flag, enter zone 2. So if we go back to here, enter zone 2. This is really important now. So we're paying 750 to enter that zone. And if we go past it and select the actual zone brush, this is the actual zone. And we have also got a target of zone 2 spawners, not just a player volume. That's basically dictating that any of the zombies here, if I select one, are targeting the zone 2 spawners. So what I'm trying to say to you is, you start off with a template map, you've got one zone, and it'll have start zone, player volume, and the zombies will be happy, they'll all start, coming out towards you, that's great. But you want to put in buyable doors and whatever else, you need to start configuring the zones up. Again, as soon as the tools are available, I will make this file available so you can see how it works, but you can also look at the Giants one, and there's a lot more into it, but in essence it's the same principles. So we'll go over to this door, you set the values on the door, sorry I've gone too far, and we're telling people they can spend 750 to open this door, and then you can enter zone 2. This is zone 2, and we've also got in here specified a riser location for zombies, a dog location, and they've all got this target of script string of fine flesh. It basically means it's going to go and hunt you, and that's about all you need to know about that. And you'll see them all disappearing off to a central point. All that is the center of the volume. So if I go up a bit, It really is just the center of this volume here. If you entered that zone before you've had an action such as opening a door to allow you to enter that zone, you will also die. You cannot, so if somebody tried to cheat and get into a zone that hasn't had a door open to it, they will die because the system will not allow it. And this is where the zone configurations come in. Let's go to that one. This is where this zone configuration comes in. So if, say, you decided to cheat and try and get into zone 2, it will kill you. You have to have the bit where where you have the door or a destroyable wall or a object blocking it with a trigger which says I'm entering zone 2 and we're going into zone 2, and it's to the side of this zone, start zone. I hope that kind of explains it. It's not as complicated as you think. This template map will be available to you. I know Chaos is working on a newer version. I don't know if he's had time to do it at the moment. It's also got lots of other good things in, so it has the breakable windows, and he's put some other funky bits in here and there. It's up to you guys to have a look, see what he's done, but it's quite helpful to you getting started. So he's even got coloured rooms over here as well. But I only really wanted to cover off this zone area quickly. So let's just recap. The default template maps, all they have is one player volume, info volume rather, and it has a script note work view of player volume, and its target name is start zone. And if I open this one here, this is the script. It will say initialize zone, start zone, and it's always on. That's all you need to know in the template map. But when you start wanting to add doors or barriers and you want people to go into other areas, and those other areas will again have dogs or zombies that spawn into them, you need to set up multiple zones. So you would literally just copy one of these info volumes and change the tags to your naming convention. So the names don't matter, but try and make them logical. So in the example I was giving you here, we also have another info volume called zone 2. And that is referenced here. So what actually happens here, we've got start zone, and it goes into zone 2, and we can enter zone 2, and you can get to it from different sides. That's why there's different entries here, and you'll be able to see when you look at this template map just how it all strings together. So the reason zone 2 is referenced twice, there's a door here, but there's also another zone here, an adjacent zone, which then can go into this same zone. You just have to remember to configure the script correctly, and that's important if you're doing different routes into different zones. Another good thing about this template map, it's got a load of the magic boxes already here and set up. It's got all the breakable windows. I think I know he was going to do a lot more work, so you might have an even better template map. And it's, to be honest, sure, there's a default one that Treyarch are giving you. This is the one that you want to download. This is the one you want to use, because this will help you guys get along a lot quicker. That's all for now, guys. If you've got any questions, please ask. I hope I've half explained it in a decent way. Maybe it wasn't the best, but hey ho, this is a Wakka world of tutorials, so what can we say? Catch you later, guys. Bye.